You're wrong. Morgan stopped. She was on her phone with headquarters, pacing outside the FBI building. But the voice hadn't come from the phone. She turned around. A homeless man sat on a bench 20 feet away. "What did you say?" Morgan asked. The man looked at the file folder in her hand, at the photos she'd been reviewing while she walked. "The killer isn't a man. It's a woman. And you already know her." Morgan's heart stopped, because he was right. And now they had 24 hours. But before we dive into this story, hit that like button and subscribe. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and how old are you? Morgan Hayes had been an FBI agent for 12 years. Behavioral Analysis Unit. Serial crimes. She'd closed 17 cases. Put away 14 killers. Built a reputation as someone who saw patterns others missed. But this case was different. 4 women. Gone. The first disappeared 6 days ago. Theater director, 34, left work, never made it home. Second victim, 3 days later. Journalist, 29, vanished from a parking garage. Third victim, 2 days after that. College professor, 41, disappeared after her morning run. Yesterday, they found the fourth victim. Real estate agent, 38, dead. Strangled. Left in an abandoned warehouse. The pattern was clear. Every 2 days. Victims with no connection. No witnesses. No evidence. And now, the clock was ticking on victim 5. Morgan had 18 agents working the case. They'd interviewed 200 people. Analyzed 50 hours of surveillance footage. Built a profile. White male, 35 to 45, organized, methodical, probably worked in law enforcement or security. But they had nothing. No suspects. No leads. Nothing. Morgan looked at the homeless man still sitting on the bench. He was maybe 60. Long gray hair. Weathered face. Torn coat. He shouldn't know anything about this case. The details weren't public. "How do you know about the killer?" Morgan asked. "I can hear you. Every day. You pace out here. Talk on your phone. Today you said, 'We're looking for a male suspect.' That's wrong." Morgan stepped closer. "Why do you think it's a woman?" The man pointed at the folder. "The strangulation marks. You said they're inconsistent. Hesitation. That's not hesitation. It's control. Women strangle differently than men. Less force. More precision. And the staging. The way the bodies are positioned. That's not dominance. That's message." Morgan stared. This was information from the autopsy report. Confidential. "Who are you?" "Someone who caught this killer before." "That's impossible. This is a new. 20 years ago," the man said. "Different city. Same pattern. Same victimology. Same everything." He stood up. "And I can help you. But we need to move fast. Because you're wrong about the timeline too. It's not every 2 days anymore. The killer's accelerating. Victim 5 dies tonight. Not tomorrow." Morgan's phone rang. It was her partner, Agent Chen. She answered. "Morgan, we just got a missing persons report. Sarah Diaz, 35, marketing executive. Didn't show up for an important meeting this morning. Co-workers are worried. Fits the profile." Morgan's blood went cold. She looked at the homeless man. "What's your name?" "Detective Marcus Cole." "Used to be." Morgan ended the call. Stared at him. Detective. Wait. Marcus Cole? The detective who? Who what? She knew that name. Everyone in law enforcement knew that name. Marcus Cole. 20 years ago, he'd been legendary. Closed the impossible cases. Until he'd made a mistake. Arrested the wrong person for a serial murder. The suspect died in custody. Then the real killer struck again. The department covered it up. Cole took the fall. Lost his badge. His career. Everything. And Morgan knew why. Because her father had been on the review board. She'd seen the files when she was studying criminology in college. Used them for a paper. The case that destroyed Marcus Cole. "You're Marcus Cole," Morgan said quietly. "And you're John Hayes' daughter." Marcus looked at her. "I remember you. Little girl at the precinct. You used to sit in your dad's office doing homework." Morgan's throat tightened. Her father had died 5 years ago. Heart attack. But before he died, he'd told her something. Something she'd never forgotten. "I made a mistake," he'd said. "With Detective Cole. We all did." "Why are you here?" Morgan asked. "Because I've been watching this case. And I know who the killer is. But you won't believe me unless I prove it." Morgan made a decision. Probably a career-ending decision. But a woman was going to die tonight if she was wrong. "Come with me." They walked into the FBI building. Security looked at Marcus. Looked at Morgan. She flashed her badge. "He's with me." Morgan led him to a conference room. Closed the door. Spread out the case files on the table. Photos. Timelines. Victimology reports. Marcus studied them. His hands were dirty. His coat smelled like the streets. But his eyes were sharp. Focused. The eyes of someone who'd spent 30 years reading crime scenes. "Show me the dump sites," he said. Morgan pulled up a map. 4 red pins. Scattered across the city. Marcus traced a pattern with his finger. "They're not random. Look. Each site is near a hospital." Morgan looked closer. He was right. "What does that mean?" "Your killer works in healthcare. Nurse. Maybe doctor. Someone with irregular hours. Someone who knows about anatomy." Marcus tapped one of the autopsy photos. "The strangulation technique. It's precise. Clinical. This person knows exactly where to apply pressure." "How do you know this?" "Because 20 years ago, I caught someone doing the exact same thing. Dr. Patricia Vance. Surgical nurse. She killed 6 women before we stopped her. Same pattern. Same victimology. Same everything." Morgan felt her pulse quicken. "Dr. Vance. Where is she now?" "Dead. Died in prison 8 years ago." "Then this can't be the same. It's not the same killer. It's someone who knows about her. Someone who studied her case. Someone who's copying her." Morgan's mind raced. Why would someone copy a killer from 20 years ago? "I don't know. But I know how to find out." Marcus looked at her. "Patricia Vance had a daughter. Rebecca Vance. She was 14 when I arrested her mother. I testified at the trial. The daughter sat in the courtroom every day. Stared at me. Never blinked." "You think the daughter. I think you need to find her. Now." Morgan called Chen. "Run a name for me." "Rebecca Vance. Born approximately 34 years ago. Any connection to the healthcare field?" 2 minutes later, Chen called back. "Got her. Rebecca Vance. Changed her name to Rebecca Morrison 15 years ago. She's a psychiatric nurse at Mercy General Hospital. Night shift. Morgan looked at Marcus. That's 3 blocks from here. Then we need to go. Now. But what happened next would test everything Morgan thought she knew about justice. They drove to Mercy General. Marcus in the passenger seat. Silent. Morgan kept glancing at him. This man had been a ghost for 20 years. Living on the streets. Watching. Waiting. Why didn't you come forward before? Morgan asked. Would you have believed me? A homeless man talking about serial killers? I tried once. 5 years ago. Different case. Different city. They arrested me for making threats. Spent 3 months in jail. I'm sorry. Don't be. I deserve it. I destroyed an innocent man's life. He died because of me. Because I was so sure I was right. They pulled into the hospital parking lot. Morgan's phone buzzed. Text from Chen. Sarah Diaz's car found in Mercy General employee parking. Still missing. Morgan showed Marcus. She's here. They walked into the hospital. Morgan flashed her badge at reception. I need to speak with Rebecca Morrison. She's a nurse here. The receptionist checked the computer. Rebecca called in sick tonight. Didn't show for her shift. Morgan's chest tightened. I need her home address. They got the address. Drove there. Small house in a quiet neighborhood. Lights off. No car in the driveway. Morgan drew her weapon. Marcus stayed behind her. She knocked. FBI. Open the door. Nothing. Morgan called for backup. Waited 3 minutes. Then kicked the door in. The house was empty. But in the basement, they found something. A room. Walls covered with newspaper clippings. All about Patricia Vance. The trial. The conviction. The murders. And in the center of the wall, a photo of Marcus Cole. His face circled in red marker. Words written above it. He took her from me. Morgan felt cold. This isn't about the victims. This is about you. Marcus stared at the wall. She's been planning this for 20 years. Waiting for me to notice. Waiting for me to figure it out. Why? Because I took her mother away. Now she wants me to suffer. She wants me to watch her kill. And no, I can't stop her. Morgan's phone rang. Chen. We found Sarah Diaz. Alive. Anonymous tip called it in. She's at the old metro station on 5th. The one that's been closed for renovations. Is Rebecca there? No. But Morgan. Sarah says Rebecca left her a message. She said, "Tell Detective Cole I'm waiting for him." Morgan looked at Marcus. It's a trap. I know. We should wait for SWAT. Sarah will be dead by then. Rebecca's not after her. She's after me. If I don't go, she'll kill Sarah just to hurt me more. Then I'm coming with you. They drove to the metro station. The building was dark. Abandoned. Morgan called Chen. I need backup at the old 5th Street Metro. Now. They entered through a side door. The station was huge. Multiple levels. Tunnels, dozens of places to hide. Rebecca. Marcus called out. His voice echoed. I'm here. Let Sarah go. A voice came from below. Come. Cold. Come down, detective. We need to talk. They descended the stairs. The lower platform was lit by a single work light. And there, in the center, sat Sarah Diaz, tied to a chair, tape over her mouth, alive. Rebecca stood behind her, holding a knife. "Hello, detective," Rebecca said. "It's been 20 years." Marcus stepped forward. Morgan stayed back, gun raised. "Let her go," Marcus said. "This is between us." "You're right. It is." Rebecca looked at him. "Do you remember my mother's trial? I was 14. I sat in that courtroom every single day. Watched you testify. Watched you destroy her. You said she was a monster. Evil. Irredeemable. She killed 6 women. She was sick. She needed help. But you didn't care. You just wanted to close your case. Be the hero." "I was wrong," Marcus said. "Not about your mother, but about how I handled it. I was arrogant. I thought I knew everything. And because of that, an innocent man died. I've carried that for 20 years. And now you'll carry 6 more." Morgan stepped forward. "Rebecca, you don't have to do this. Your mother made choices. You don't have to make the same ones. I'm not like my mother. I'm better. Smarter. I've studied every serial killer in history, learned from their mistakes. And I designed these murders specifically for him, so he'd recognize the pattern, so he'd know, and feel helpless, just like I felt watching him take her away." "If you kill Sarah, you prove him right," Morgan said. "You prove you're exactly what he said your mother was." Rebecca's hand tightened on the knife. "He destroyed my family, destroyed my life. I've spent 20 years planning this, 20 years waiting. And what did it get you?" Marcus asked. "You became the thing you hated. You became your mother." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears, but the knife didn't move. Then Marcus did something Morgan didn't expect. He dropped to his knees. "You want me to suffer? I have. Every single day. The man I arrested? His name was David Chen. He had a wife. 2 kids. He died in custody. And I didn't speak up. I let it happen. I've hated myself for 20 years. You want to punish me? I'm already punished. But Sarah, she's innocent, just like your mother's victims, just like David Chen." Rebecca stared at him. The knife shook in her hand. "Let her go," Marcus said. "Arrest me. Put me on trial. Tell the world what I did. I won't fight it. I deserve it." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Rebecca's hand lowered. The knife fell to the floor. She stepped back, collapsed against the wall, sobbing. Morgan moved fast, secured Rebecca, cut Sarah free, called it in. But she noticed something. Marcus hadn't moved, still on his knees, staring at nothing. Later, at the FBI building, Morgan sat across from Marcus in an interview room. Rebecca was in custody. Sarah was safe. The case was closed. "You were right," Morgan said. "About everything. I've had 20 years to think about it. Why did you stay? Why live on the streets? You could have left. Started over somewhere else." Marcus looked at her. "Because I needed to remember. Every day. What I did. Who I hurt. I didn't deserve to forget." Morgan pulled out a file. "I read the David Chen case. All of it. My father's notes. The review board findings. You weren't the only one who made mistakes. The system failed. The pressure to close cases. The corruption. You were a scapegoat. I still made the choice to arrest him. You did. But you also tried to speak up after. The department silenced you. My father was part of that. He regretted it. Told me before he died. Marcus was quiet. What happens now? Officially, Rebecca's going to prison. Long time. But your testimony is going to be key. The case gets reopened. David Chen's name gets cleared. And your record. We'll see what we can do. I don't deserve. Maybe not. But you saved Sarah's life tonight. You closed a case no one else could close. That counts for something. Morgan stood. Extended her hand. Thank you, Detective Cole. Marcus looked at her hand. Then took it. 3 months later, Morgan sat in a courtroom. The review board had reopened the David Chen case. New evidence. New testimony. Marcus Cole's badge was officially restored. Not active duty. But his record was cleared. David Chen's family was there. They approached Marcus after the hearing. Thank you, Chen's widow said, for finally telling the truth. Marcus nodded. Couldn't speak. Outside the courthouse, Morgan found him sitting on a bench. She sat beside him. What will you do now? She asked. I don't know. I've been on the streets for 20 years. It's all I know. The Bureau could use a consultant. Someone who sees patterns others miss. Someone who's been where the suspects have been. Who understands the darkness. Marcus looked at her. You serious? I am. If you want it. He thought about it. Then nodded. Okay. Morgan smiled. Welcome back, Detective. Because sometimes the people we've written off are the ones who see the clearest. Sometimes redemption doesn't look like a triumph. It looks like a homeless man on a bench. Listening. Watching. Waiting for one more chance to make things right. And sometimes the cases we can't solve alone are solved by the ghosts of our past mistakes. Did this story remind you of something? Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from, and how old are you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next story.